On January 25, 2019, in the town of Brumadinho, located in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais, a huge mining dam collapsed, causing one of the worst environmental and humanitarian crises the state has ever seen. The disaster took over 270 lives of mostly mining workers, with multiple people who have still never been found 5 years later. The structure of the dam was built upstream of a river, a structure that is regarded as extremely unsafe due to the risk of liquefaction, which ultimately caused the dam to collapse. This dam also happened to be built on an incline, contributing to a perfect environment for the worst possible disaster. When the dam broke, toxic mud began hurling downhill, making a path of destruction that destroyed numerous buildings, including a cafeteria where workers were eating lunch, a bed and breakfast that multiple people were staying at, and dozens of buildings in the neighborhoods it tore through. The mud ultimately ended up 5 miles down, at the Paraopeba River, leaving nothing but devastation in its path.
Eu lembro que eu vi aquelas árvores caindo lá, passando a lama lá, caindo. E as pessoas tudo lá embaixo, que a gente conhecia, todo mundo ali embaixo.
Uma mulher lá morreu abraçada assim na pilastra do...
Not only was this disaster immediately tragic due to the immense loss of life and lifelong impact for everyone associated with the victims, but the impact still remains physically as well, considering the extreme amounts of contamination to the environment, mostly the local water source, the Paraopeba River.
E você está aqui com cemitério sem aterro, e o que nos restou foi só esse rejeito, né? Aí, ó. Aí no nosso rio, essa lama é o rejeito, né? Que isso aqui, tudo aqui ficou tomado por rejeitos. A gente não entrava aqui, a gente só vinha até na ponta ali.
This contamination has been impacting the surrounding communities for over 5 years now, causing a severe water shortage and continuous health issues. In the past 5 years, no one has been convicted for any crime in this case, despite the fact that this crime was not a natural disaster and could have been prevented. The company in charge of the dam is called Vale, who is an international mining company based out of Brazil and is mostly responsible for this disaster. Investigators found evidence of corruption and neglect from Vale on multiple accounts, such as simplifications in processes of environmental legislation to allow clearance on their unsafe dams. Vale had dismissed 2 other companies who checked the safety of the dam and deemed it unsafe. Vale was only satisfied when a German company called TÜV Süd came and cleared the dam as safe, meaning they also allowed for this tragedy to happen. Vale's president at the time claimed that this was a unique disaster and there was no way to know that this was going to happen, despite reports that the company made financial arrangements in case of a disaster and decided that the dam is so profitable that it would be worth it to take the risk.
They knew about the risks, and they could do this weird thing of calculating how much would they spend, and they decided to continue operating because it would be much more profitable to still operating, and then pay the compensations for people that could die.
Investigators also found emails proving that employees had been warning the company of the dam's risks. Yet when the president got word of the concern, he referred to a reporting employee as a cancer within our company. With over 5 years since the disaster and no justice in this case, the main actors have been fighting relentlessly for criminal justice to be served, full financial compensation to everyone impacted, and de-privatizing the company to put the decision-making back into the hands of the community.
Eu só espero justiça, espero prisão, porque eu acho que eles não vão ser presos, não. Preso tá quem morreu. Porque os colarinhos brancos ficam soltos.
Que a privatização da Vale do Rio Doce foi criminosa. Precisamos que devolvam a Vale para o povo, porque a privatização só deu lucro para poucos e custou milhares de vidas. E isso não vai parar.
A nossa solução é retomar a Vale do Rio Doce para que a gente possa controlar a forma como ela deve ser gerida. Hoje ela está sendo gerida para benefício de uma minoria que só está, como eu falei, visando o lucro em detrimento da vida humana. E agora estamos aí, ó. Nós não sabemos ainda quantos mortos tem em Brumadinho.
The fight for justice is being forefronted by civil society organizations and NGOs such as Avabrum, an association of the families of victims of Brumadinho who are fighting for financial compensation and criminal justice against Vale and Tuve Sud, the Movement of People Affected by Dams, or MAB, which is a Brazilian social movement comprised of communities directly affected by dam projects, and Manuelzao, an environmental justice organization based out of Minas Gerais that focuses on clean water in Brazilian cities and does news report updates on relevant environmental activism in Minas Gerais. Trying to gain traction in this case has been extremely frustrating, with almost no progression in the past 5 years and with back and forth decisions from the court. Media coverage is staying alive only through reports from NGOs and civil society. For example, Manuelzao reported in March that the court suspended criminal action against Vale's former president due to insufficient evidence, but the court expects another complaint with more evidence to arise. Speaking on this, a member of MAB states, "For the rich and powerful, justice is slow and partial, and for the affected and poor, it is quick and acts like an executioner." Also, according to reports from Manuelzao, Vale went back on their word after promising full financial compensation to the victims of Brumadinho in multiple cases. This includes a survivor named Alcione Borges, who initially was supposed to be awarded 100,000 Brazilian reais, but Vale appealed this and cut the compensation to 20,000 Brazilian reais, which translates into about $3,700 for context. A similar case happened for a truck driver who was working on site during the collapse named Ricardo Aparecido, whose case was dismissed as unfounded, and he has not been receiving the promised financial compensation. Despite having to constantly fight for justice over the past 5 years, these groups and organizations have not let up and continue to hold protests and events to keep the media alive while this case continues to unfold. Fighting for full environmental repair, MAB hosted a protest in front of the second public finance and local government courts of the district of Belo Horizonte. MAB also protested outside of the Minas Gerais Court of Justice during a meeting about the trial proceedings. Avabrum holds many events, and members of Avabrum also recently traveled to Munich, Germany to protest in front of the Tuve Sud headquarters as a reminder that the company's neglect will not be forgotten and those affected will not give up without justice. Aside from protests and actively fighting for justice, Avabrum consistently holds events in memory of the victims to help ease the pain of grief and injustice and focus on the light that these people bring into the community and into the lives of the families.
Mesmo que já passados 5 anos, nossa fé no encontro de todas as 272 vítimas não diminui. A associação preza pela preservação da memória, para que a tragédia não seja jamais esquecida e para que nunca mais se repita. A associação também quer que as obras e investimentos realizados com os recursos da multa paga pela Vale identifique que aquele dinheiro é oriundo do sangue das 272 vítimas e que as comunidades impactadas sejam beneficiadas. Os familiares acompanham de perto a construção do Memorial das Vítimas de Brumadinho, um local onde todas e todos poderão ter a oportunidade de conhecer um pouco da história de cada uma das vítimas, do longo processo de buscas e da luta incessante por justiça e responsabilização. A Avabrum luta pelo reconhecimento dos direitos dos familiares, o direito ao acesso à saúde física e mental. A associação também atua fortemente para a não repetição do crime, alertando a população sobre os perigos da mineração sem responsabilidade, sem obediência às regras e normas do setor. Não existe reparação para as vidas perdidas. Não existe reparação para as famílias destruídas.